president and CEO of the San Diego Humane Society. And he's also a best-selling author of several books published by National Geographic. And like my first guest, he did pack his bags and head to the Ukraine border to help out pets. Please join me in giving pause and applause to one of my all-time favorite veterinarians on the planet, Dr. Gary Weitzman. I am so stoked you're on my show, Dr. Gary.
Oh, thanks, Arden. It's fun to be on your show for its maiden voyage today. And you're one of my favorite people to talk to about animals or pretty much anything.
Well, just like Dr. Marty Becker, Dr. Gary Weitzman said, I need to help out. And he is a veterinarian without borders because he didn't just stick in his backyard in San Diego. He went to Poland to help out some of the pets impacted by this terrible invasion of Ukraine. But the one thing that's different than Dr. Marty Becker, Dr. Gary Weitzman actually is a military veteran. You served for how many years in the Air Force, Dr. Gary?
Oh, quite a few.
You didn't count the days.
It seems like ancient history. It seems so long ago now, but yeah, it was in the 90s, and I ended up at, I was the chief of public health for Air Force Base up in Wyoming, F.E. Warren Air Force Base. And it seems weird probably for listeners to think about veterinarians running public health programs, but yeah, that's what they do in the Air Force. And it was phenomenal. I have a master's.
So were you a veterinarian and then joined the Air Force?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, that's what they hire vets to do that. And, veterinary medicine, it all started really with public health because we were the ones that had to make sure food supplies were safe and a lot of things, really it's all epidemiology and, herd health, all of that. So we were kind of at the forefront of One Health before we even talked about One Health. But it was great. I loved the Air Force. I just loved everything I was doing with them. I got assigned to an Army base in Maryland later to actually run, you'll laugh at this, help run. I didn't run it. Believe me, I did not run it. Help the program that is one of the largest programs of research funding for breast cancer in the world. And it's based out of F.E. Warren, and it's called the Congressionally Directed Mandated Research Programs. And right now,
that is a mouthful.
It's like probably $1 billion research funding program. I loved it. I loved being in Washington, D.C. It was great. I loved my Air Force time.
Oh, I love that. And I do thank you for your service. My family's military, mostly a Navy and Army. But,
okay. You got it all covered then, the three of us.
Yeah, we got it all. We just need a Marine and a Coast Guard.
Yeah.
And we're complete.
That's true.
So, when everything started hitting about what's happening to the country of Ukraine, talk to me about, and our listeners, what was going on inside you that led you to say, I gotta do something?
Well, I think like everybody, I feel destroyed, seeing what's happening is something that we can't even conceive of in 2021. And the last few months, what's the war been going on for 90 days now? So for months, we're all sitting here helpless and ineffective and just watching these poor people suffer. And it's not just that these are poor people from Ukraine. It's just that we're seeing it so live every single day and we can't do anything. It's my family. I have Ukrainian roots. So all my family.
Oh, you do? I did not know that.
Yeah, from Odessa and Kyiv. And I think my great-great-grandfather is from Belarus, so he's from Minsk. But, we go back in that area, and it's not about that it's Ukraine. It's just about the suffering is so unbelievable. It's so needless. And I think I was going insane. And so I tried to find a way to bring some of my vets from San Diego Humane out with me and find a way that we could help, provide some veterinary support there. But there was no infrastructure until I talked to Liz Baker at Greater Good Charities. And she said, yeah, we're setting up a vet tent. Come help. And I just jumped on a plane and flew to Poland. And it was, I'll tell you, Arden, it was the best thing I ever did in my entire life.
You know what? It is weird. It's like we live in the 21st century and we see everything around the world in a blink of an eye versus World War II, where you had to wait for news.
I know. I go to a movie theater and see that.
I never imagined in our lifetime we would have another type of war where a country was trying to take over another country blatantly with the whole world watching.
Yeah, right in front of us. I know it's still unbelievable, and it's still obviously going on, and it's still horrific. And the suffering is something that is unfathomable to us. We all thought maybe we've evolved. Now we know we really not so much.
Yeah, but we have pets. And for many of us tuning in, all of you out there, you know the power of the paw. They keep us, in some cases, better humans. And so tell us about logistically. You mentioned about the Greater Good Charities, great organization. But how did you get from San Diego? I guess you landed in Poland, right?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so tell us that tale.
Yeah, that was it was I only had a few days to get everything.
And what do you pack? I mean, really, this is not
I'll tell you,
this is not a vacation. What's that?
Much.
Oh, you did?
But I brought supplies over. I brought medical supplies and equipment. And so one bag that was packed was all medical supplies in case anybody needed it. And they did. And it was good that I had that. I don't know for sure that it went to the right place in the end, but because I ended up going out there to work with one group, and I ended up not finding that was going to be productive. And I moved over to another group, which was headed up by IFI, the National Fund for Animal Welfare.
Oh, slow it down, man. You're saying it so fast. Tell everybody what that is.
Yes, the International Fund for Animal Welfare. They are absolutely unbelievably noble. They're saints. They do what they say they're going to do. They're there on the front lines, and they certainly were. They set up this veterinary tent, and they were absolutely incredible to work with. And I spent my whole time with them. The Greater Good people that I was with ended up, these poor people, they checked on me every day, but I never saw them because they all got hit with COVID and ended up being quarantined in Romania. And I was in Poland. And it just, I got my car and I just drove myself around and found
you know
the right
what though?
to go.
That's awesome. You didn't say, well, that's it. You pivoted.
I thought about saying that's it.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't know where to go, but honestly, the Greater Good people checked on me by phone, and they made sure everything was okay, and it was great, and it was great being there. And the biggest thing was in the despair that we're feeling about the world's condition right now. That border was a half a mile to a mile long corridor of people giving to other people.
Really?
So whether it was food or supplies or tents for women and children to rest in or anything people needed. And our veterinary tent was number 2 in that border crossing. So right there, when people came across, we were right there to take care of their animals. And it just was incredibly, for me, rehabilitating. It wasn't about me, but just to be there and be able to exhaust some of this pent up sorrow was really, I've never done anything in my life that felt better than this.
Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life. Four-Legged Life. Make sure to subscribe so you're up to date with all of our Four-Legged Life content. Four-Legged Life. Four-Legged Life.